Who asked for this? And who asked for this?
This isn't a spy stream.
The 2020 Disney shareholders meeting definitely delivered. But isn't it a little bit much? And the one movie we got is something nobody wants. Also, 9 new shows. Wasn't Star Wars at its best with just 6 movies?
What if someone else beside you came to you and said, I want to make episode 7? Could you see that happening?
No.
No, absolutely, positively, you're really closing the door without any wiggle room whatsoever.
Right. There is no episode 7.
After all this content comes out, I think the Star Wars is going to be a little too oversaturated for me. Because of this, I'm going to be ranking all the shows that were announced from most excited to least excited. Now, we already knew about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, but the announcement of Hayden Christensen returning was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. If they had announced this 10 years ago, fans would have thrown mad baby fits over the cast and the inclusion of Hayden Christensen. But luckily, all the prequel haters are old and irrelevant now, and it's the people who grew up with the prequels that get to appreciate this casting. I have high expectations for this show, especially since Deborah Chow is on to direct all 6 one-hour-long episodes. She did a great job with Chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, and it's this show right here that I think is actually something good that they're doing. People love Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I love the idea of seeing him and Hayden Christensen on TV again. Next up, we have maybe the most interesting announced series, The Acolyte, which is set in the High Republic and centers around the origins and uprising of the Sith. I'm just looking at Twitter right now, and people are saying this could be the new canon introduction of Starkiller from The Force Unleashed, but I don't know where they got that, so take that with a grain of salt. The High Republic is something I'm really interested in, and I hope it has something to do with Darth Revan, even though it probably doesn't. I'd like to get into some of the High Republic books, which are coming out soon, but unfortunately, I don't like to read. Next up is the Bad Batch series, which is essentially Season 8 of the Clone Wars. It takes place during the Empire, and if my assumptions are correct, the Bad Batch could either be hunting for Jedi, or something which would be equally as interesting is if they disobey Order 66 and are on the run, which seems to be most likely the case. Either way, the trailer looks sweet and the animation style is fantastic, just like Season 7 of Clone Wars. What do we got next? The Ahsoka series. See, now I'm already burnt out of Star Wars just talking about this. Ahsoka's one of my favorite characters, but do we really need a whole show about her? We've seen a lot of her recently, and not to mention her appearance in The Mandalorian Season 2 was a bit underwhelming. We saw a lot of her in the Clone Wars, where her arc was finished, and I just don't see the appeal of a live-action Ahsoka series, especially in a time period we already are getting her in The Mandalorian. I know Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are on to write and direct or whatever, but I'm not really looking forward to it. The next announcement is where Star Wars fatigue definitely starts to set in. The Lando Calrissian show. I don't know much about it other than it seems to be a show about Lando going on some wacky adventures, and it would be very solo a Star Wars story and comedic-esque. It's also being helmed by Justin Simien, who made the show Dear White People, which I don't know anything about, and it looks bad. I do really like Donald Glavino as Lando, but if that one Kathleen Kennedy droid is still in the show, count me out.
Excuse me. Get your presumptuous ass out of my seat. My sacral occipital circuit is sticking. You're gonna have to do that thing again later.
Yeah.
Next, we got Andor, which is no one's favorite Star Wars character, and no one asked for this show. But this show is about Cassian Andor from Rogue One and his sister, I think. Also, there would be 12 episodes a season, which is cool, I guess, but that just adds to the packed schedule. Otherwise, not interesting at all. These last couple are interchangeable, and I'm not interested in the least bit of any of them. So we got the Rangers of the New Republic, which, if rumors are true, is the Cara Dune spin-off show. And if that's true, then I might not even watch it, because wow, this chick's acting skills are the equivalent of a dirty washcloth.
I'm in.
One of the last ones, maybe the most disappointing of all, is the Patty Jenkins directed movie called Rogue Squadron. When I heard this was going to be the 2023 slotted Star Wars movie, I was like, I was really hoping that this movie slot was going to be the first of a new trilogy, maybe even set in the High Republic, but unfortunately that's not the case. Lastly, there's the Droid show and the Visions anime thing, which sounds alright I guess, but doesn't this just seem like a lot to take in? All these shows seem like a bit much. I'd rather see a couple great shows like Season 1 of The Mandalorian and a new trilogy set in the Old Republic, rather than a bunch of mediocre shows that I don't care about. Too many shows and too little inspiration if you ask me. I don't want Star Wars to be ruined by having too many shows and so little movies. I want more good movies and less bad shows. All this is definitely going to give me and many others Star Wars fatigue.